Yo, what's going on, y'all? 805 Just here, the real Capri Sun, Mr. Cranberry Funk, the Prince of Patagonia, Commodore of the Coast Guard. I still have all my wisdom teeth at this moment, this morning, on this day. Ventura, California, the place on my birth certificate. Shout out to everybody within Ventura County, the 805, the Central Coast, everybody in California, everybody in the West, even if you're just touching the Pacific Ocean. Shout out to y'all. Man, I'm getting ready to head into the gym, but I wanted to talk about this. I thought about it after watching the video last evening, and then even thought about it this morning before I drove over to the gym. As you all know, we talked about it, I believe it was last week, Gilbert Arenas and this Fed situation he's dealing with, allegedly running the illegal gambling house. He was the owner of the house, or was, paying the rent on the house over in Encino, in the Valley. And he was frequently on ESPN. Stephen A. Smith seemingly had reached out to him and was bringing him up for First Take. And here's the move that I think a lot of people are missing. The video I watched last evening, basically Stephen A. Smith went in. He basically scolded. He basically checked Gilbert Arenas for joking about, being indicted, being arrested by the feds, having his house raided, all that stuff. Stephen A. Smith went in on him, right? Now, mind you, I think a lot of people are forgetting. I think Stephen A. Smith is starting to realize he can't carry the weight of First Take on his own. He can't do it with his own talent. The ratings will not stay up on First Take if it's only Stephen A. Smith. Why? I think people are tired of Stephen A. Smith. Tired of his antics, tired of the same old performance, him raising his voice. It's an act now. He's an act. He's a clown at the circus now, right? And I think he knows that people are getting tired of him, so he has to bring in other people who are not on TV on a regular basis, who don't work for TV and sports networks, and he brings them in to help add to, the show and First Take. I think that's what he did with Shannon Sharpe, and I think that's what he tried to do with Gil. He's tried to do that with Ocho Cinco in the past, Chad Johnson. These are people who are doing podcasts. They're not on TV every day. Now, we know Shannon was, back when he was on Fox, on FS1. But, after that, he wants to bring in extra talent to add to the sauce, right? Nothing wrong with that. I just see through it. And I don't know if y'all see through it, but I see through it. I think in years past, because let's not forget, Stephen A. Smith is he's a producer on First Take now. Years ago, he was really just talent. He was the voice. He was the, talking head. He was the talk box. Now he's also a producer. And I think he's trying to produce a show where he has someone to debate with. He has someone to argue with. And he wants to pick out good people to do that with. So he had picked out Gil. And now, obviously, Gil's not going to be on ESPN for a while because he's got this Fed situation, investigation and all that. But I think it was wrong for Stephen A. Smith to go in on Gil. Now, I agree with most people. Gil can be a clown. Gil, he has a crazy sense of humor. He takes it too far at times. He does too much at times. And yeah, he doesn't take things serious. And Stephen A. Smith said that in his video on his show, the Stephen A. Smith Show, his podcast or whatever, last night. But here's the thing. Stephen A. Smith is going in on Gil, saying, you got to do better. You got to take things serious. I'm rooting for you, right? Basically taking this OG stance. Why didn't he do that to Shannon Sharpe? I'll ask again. Why didn't he do the same thing with Shannon Sharpe? Is he only doing this to Gil because Gilbert Arenas is younger than him? I think Stephen A. is 50-something, maybe, going on 60, somewhere around that age. Is he only scolding Gilbert Arenas because, Gil is probably 40-something? He's younger than him. Why didn't he go in on Shannon Sharpe? Shannon Sharpe's situation happened way before Gilbert Arenas. And I don't know what the outcome is going to be, with this the Gil situation and the gambling and all that, if he'll have to go to jail or whatnot. But in my opinion, the Shannon Sharpe scandal was way worse than this situation. Shannon Sharpe, 50-something, going to be 60 years old soon in a couple years, hopefully, dealing with young 20-year-old chicks from the gym on some freaky stuff, some way freaky stuff, some racial freaky stuff, gets exposed and has to pay her millions. All because, I don't know, he don't know how to get women around his age, or he don't know how to, I don't know what his issue is, but he got issues. Stephen A. Smith didn't condemn Shannon Sharpe. They're around the same age. They both are in their 50s. They are both parents. But he wants to shoot at and condemn and try to scold Gilbert Arenas and say, Gilbert, you got to get it together, man. You got to stop clowning. You got to stop joking around. Where was that energy for Shannon Sharpe? Shannon Sharpe had a contract with ESPN. I don't know Gil's business, right? I know he has the Gil's Arena show, the podcast, the YouTube show, and he's sponsored by a betting app or a betting website. He's got sponsors and whatnot. Shannon Sharpe had an actual contract with ESPN. He was on there every day or 3 days a week or whatever his schedule was. Gilbert Arenas was making cameos. He was there, once a month and whatnot. He wasn't there every day on First Take. Matter of fact, the issue, if I'm not mistaken, that they had talked about earlier was, like me, I'm not in LA, but, near LA. Gil lives in Woodland Hills. He lives here in California. First Take is shot in New York. ESPN was trying to figure out, is Gil going to move to New York? Stephen A is like, we need you here to do the show. And Gil, he's like me. He's a California kid, born and raised. He doesn't want to live in New York, or at least he hadn't done that yet. He hadn't made that move. So for Stephen A. Smith to now be like, hey, man, you got to get it together. You want to be the class clown. You want to be a jokester. You want to be a comedian. It's like, dude, okay, you may be right, because we all think it, or a lot of us think, hey, Gilbert needs to be serious about this. He needs to get it together. But we also think the same thing about Shannon Sharpe. And you and Shannon Sharpe are around the same age, and you didn't have the same energy for Shannon Sharpe, who was your actual co-worker. Gilbert Arenas is not your co-worker. You bring him on the show from time to time. You had Shannon Sharpe signed. He had a deal. He had a contract with ESPN. And you didn't give him this energy. You didn't say, hey, my brother, hey, you need to be more disciplined. You need to, stop being so crazy. Stop being so freaky, behind the scenes, and leave these young women alone, these young little, hoochies. Man, so that's all I got to say. I'd love to know what y'all think, but I just think it's wrong for Stephen A. to condemn and scold Gilbert and not scold or condemn Shannon Sharpe. That's all I'm saying. I think that's crazy. I think that's hypocritical. And I think he's only doing it because, maybe he's older than Gilbert Arenas, or, Gil hasn't been doing the media and broadcasting for so long. He just now got into podcasting and that type of thing. So maybe that's why. But either way, it's just, it don't make no sense. So anyway, appreciate y'all that subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed, hey, no pressure. We have a good time here. When things are serious, we talk about serious things. Life is real. We all know that. But we try to keep it light, keep it upbeat. I appreciate y'all. As always, 805 Just, I'm here. And y'all have a good day. Peace. Peace.
The gigantic going out of business sale at Circuit City has reached the final days. Get total liquidation prices on absolutely everything, like 25% off notebook and desktop computers. Take a whopping 30% off all plasma TVs, digital camcorders, and digital cameras, including SLR. Save 40% on CDs and DVDs, software, phones, faxes, shredders, and more. Get 50% off all furniture, phone accessories, and select mobile audio. Don't wait until it's over. Shop now during the final days of the Circuit City going out of business sale.